Hi, so good afternoon, everyone. And today we have with us Mr. Siobhan Braffett. Siobhan is a past student of the Academy for the Performing Arts, and he presently teaches at Molten Hall Methodist and also at
Maria Regina Preparatory.
Okay, so he's a clarinet player and a teacher at this point. And I'm going to talk to him this evening about feedback and the impact that he thinks feedback has had on him as a student of the Academy. All right, so Siobhan, my first question for you today is, as an alumni of the Performing Arts program at UTT, what is your view of the feedback that you got as part of your program?
Throughout the BFA program, I remember clearly getting feedback from lecturers in courses. Most definitely from assignments, any question that you may have asked, they would have either emailed or contacted you personally. With regards to communication, a lot of times, not a lot of stuff ended up in your email, like vital information that you would have needed with regards to like registration and all of that. And I didn't make a fuss at the time because the academy was new. So a lot of the stuff was posted on the notice board, and you kind of made it your priority to go and look at the notice board. But you couldn't necessarily say that you were getting a lot of stuff coming to you electronically at the moment all the time. So during that time, as I got deeper into the program, it got better. I guess because more systems were put in place, we had a stronger admin staff, so therefore there were people in charge of dealing with those stuff. So I would say in the start it was a little bit shaky, but by the end it got better.
Mm-hmm. And particularly about feedback about your courses from individual teachers to students.
Most definitely. Lecturers and professors did keep in contact. I can remember for one course with Professor Kushmal, independent study, literally living in your email because she just was the type of person, any question you ask or anything that needed clarity, an email will come out, a text message will come out. Some lecturers were not as hands-on in that way, so you had to somewhat find them to have a conversation. But I will say for courses, definitely the lecturers ensure that they were giving feedback and there was an open line of communication between lecturer and student.
In general, okay, thank you so much. Now, what about feedback in terms of course design? In other words, were you ever asked as a student about, how should this course run? What can I do differently? What is working very well? Were you ever asked those kinds of questions as a student?
For the independent studies, yes. Because independent studies ran because students had an interest in a particular topic, so therefore a lecturer would have designed a program that semester for us to learn skills on or get information that we thought we needed at the time. And at the end of the program, I remember especially with Professor Kushmal again, she would ask for the CODO program what we could have done differently if we were to run this independent study again. And it was informal, but it was still a conversation. Mm-hmm. With regards to some of my core courses, at the latter half of the program, we started to get course evaluation forms that we would get in our email and we'll fill them out. In the early part, not so much to my recollection.
Okay. Were you one of the first to graduate from this program? The second cohort. Yeah. So it really was an early program for you. Now, what do you think is the value of those CIOT evaluation sheets? Did you do it regularly? Because I know a lot of students do not necessarily do their evaluations on their teaching, and therefore their input is not recorded.
Most definitely, I did mine. I think all faculty members knew that if I wasn't pleased about something, I would put it in writing.
Now, what about when you were pleased?
Even when I was pleased, I would put it in writing. Especially for the independent studies, I would ensure that the independent studies got my positive feedback, because I believe that if I learn something, then future students should learn from it. So definitely, I gave positive feedback. With the course evaluations, I think there was a section that talked about, where the course could have gone differently in your opinion. I would give my response, but I'm not too sure if they would ever implemented or looked at in such a way that there was an actual change.
Okay.
I remember students from different classes saying that, didn't have a good experience, and, they made it their duty to give feedback and not necessarily seeing a change, hearing the complaint the following year and the year after that. And sometimes you hear students giving positive things, and then you hear things go a different direction, and we are like, well, it wasn't that way when we did it. So I'm not too sure if people were going through with a fine-tooth comb and ensuring that, students' opinions were actually being noted and actually taken into consideration.
Okay. So you think that may be a shortcoming, maybe of...
Most definitely, I think it is one of the shortcomings of that I found in APA. That we would give feedback, but then nothing would happen, and we just forget and we move on.
Okay. All right. So my other question for you. Oh, but the question it leads from what we were talking about. What were you missing in terms of feedback in general at UTT?
Specific?
Well, you did just say you didn't see signs of implementation.
Yeah.
When you
most
did
definitely,
give
yeah.
feedback.
When I did give, definitely, be like specific things that we would have asked for, we didn't really see it, and I don't know what was happening on the I guess the faculty side of things. I'm not too sure if there was an attempt and something didn't happen, or if it just nothing, like it went into the cloud and then that's where it stayed.
It died.
It just died. So for me personally, I think if you are giving out forms for students to voice their concerns or to give praise, because there are a lot of things that we were pleased about, then I think something should happen. It shouldn't just go into space or into some computer and it just sits. I think, if a lecturer is constantly getting good reviews, then I think that lecturer should know that they are getting good reviews. If there's one little thing about a course that students wish was a little different, then I think a lecturer should know. Once again, from the student side, I can say that there was no implementation, but I'm not too sure what's happening on the other side.
You don't know where
where it went, and I wouldn't speak on that side.
Okay, all right. All right, and my last question from you, do you ever wonder about the role of feedback in a course? And if any more types of feedback, for example, need to be implemented at the academy level or even at the university level, do you think there is anything else that can be done possibly to improve feedback in order to improve how courses are run and designed?
Once again, I would say, from my perspective, implementation. Really, I think for me the big thing was the implementation aspect of it. It's like you will say something and then you hear the course run the following semester and it's the exact same thing. Whether it's the exact same problem or you hear a great course went a different direction. Also, because of that, students would start to wonder if they were getting the information that they needed in the course, because at least my year group, were aiming to be teachers, and we knew what was required of us to enter into the teaching system. So we would ask, like, can this be implemented? And we would say, well, because we heard that this is a requirement to get into teaching, and then you will see 1 year pass, nothing happened. You will ask the question again, and then you might hear 2 years pass and nothing happened. So for me, the biggest thing was implementation, and students knowing that their concerns were indeed heard. And if it wasn't valid, then tell us why. And if it was, then acknowledge it.
So for you, it's about communication, communication and implementation. You said something about being teachers and not necessarily being equipped to go out into the workforce. And this is one of the things that we address in our course, the issue of feedback with external stakeholders, like the ministries, like employers, like all other industry professionals. Did you find any of that happening really in any effective way, communication with external stakeholders in terms of what you need as a performer, because this is the performing arts, and if you were already getting it, if they are communicating with admin about what is needed in the industry, was there any evidence of that in your time?
To my knowledge, I think I only remember one conversation for an education course where that was brought up by students, like, are we getting what we need to get to go into the teaching service? At that time, we were told a conversation is happening. So we took comfort in the fact that, okay, a conversation is happening, so at some point implementation will take place. For me personally, it really didn't get in my way because I constantly sought working experience while doing my degree, so therefore leaving UTT and going into the work field there was no real challenge for me because I was already putting myself out there. For some people, it was a slight challenge because they depended on what was given to them, and then they quickly realized, oh, I probably may not have gotten everything I needed. And I would say to the students at that point, go get what you need so you can enter the system. But there are some people who would say it's the university's fault, but I am more a proactive person. So I believe if you didn't necessarily get what you needed, because at the end of the day, this is a performance program. So if you didn't get everything you needed to become a teacher, then it is your duty to go and get the extra courses.
Okay. All right, thank you so much for talking to us today, Siobhan.
No problem.
And we want to say bye to our friends. Bye.